Good afternoon. Let me check first. Can everybody hear me? It's okay? Good. My name is Jörg Münzenberg and I come from a company called Evonik Industries. Evonik Industries, you may know, we have a booth here and I come to back this later, so we are happy if you come to our booth after this lecture and ask us a lot of questions about our new and very exciting excipient AEROPERL 300 Pharma. AeroPearl 300 Pharma is a new excipient that we believe will give you new formulation opportunities for your pharmaceutical production. And now you ask, of course, what actually is AEROSIL 300 Pharma? And I come to this with this slide. AEROSIL 300 Pharma actually is a granulated form of colloidal silicon dioxide. Colloidal silicon dioxide, you may know, as our very famous AEROSIL Pharma grades, which are usually used as glidants, for example, in direct compression processes. AEROSIL Pharma, you all know, as this funny, very fluffy powder that is sometimes really a pain to work with. Well, AeroPearl is a little bit different. It's a powder still, but it's not that fluffy. It consists of spherical granules, as you can see on the right picture there. And it features all the advantages AEROSIL actually has, like high purity precursors used in production, therefore extraordinary low heavy metal content, no organic or biogenic materials used in the production, and the material being purely amorphous, inert to most chemicals. All this holds true for AEROSIL as well as for AEROPERL 300 Pharma. But AEROPERL 300 Pharma does not have some of the inherent challenges of this fine powder that AEROSIL is, like low density and therefore challenging storage, and sometimes a tendency for dust generation during processing. On the lower picture on the right, you see a comparison of the same amount of AEROSIL 200 Pharma and AEROPERL 300 Pharma. And here you already see that the density of the AEROPERL 300 Pharma is much bigger than the AEROSIL 200 Pharma. AEROPERL 300 Pharma, here's some technical data on that. It consists, as I told you, of spherical granules with a particle size distribution D50 of about 30 micrometers. D90 is about 55 micrometers. The specific surface area of this product is rather high. It's about 300 square meters per gram. And the temp density is about 280 grams per liter. If you compare this to a normal AEROSIL 200 Pharma, there the temp density is only about 50 grams per liter, and you can see that this product really is much denser than the AeroPearl range. Another very important difference between the AEROSIL and the AeroPearl Pharma grades is that the AeroPearl actually is a porous material. We have a mesopore volume there of about 1.6 milliliters per gram. The pore size distribution you see in the lower picture down there, and this porous structure will have the advantage for you that you can absorb about 150 grams of liquid on 100 grams of the material. AeroPearl 300 Pharma has full compendial and regulatory compliance. It is produced according to IPEC GMP guidelines, so we have a validated process. We have full traceability of raw materials and parameters in production. We have high hygiene standards, especially for backfilling. AeroPearl 300 Pharma is tested against the European and the USP monographs. So also from the quality side, it's a very good material to work with. I want to show you now a little bit of what we believe would be possible uses of this product in pharmaceutical production. And I have 3 points here. One is concerned with the use of AEROPERL 300 Pharma as a carrier. The next point is how you can use AEROPERL 300 Pharma as a desiccant in moisture-assisted dry granulation technologies. And the next point, the last one, is about how you can use this product to tackle the low solubility challenge you face with some of the APIs on the market. Let me start with point 1. AeroPearl is a very good pharmaceutical carrier. It can be used to absorb liquids and transform them into a free-flowing powder. And as you saw from the last slide, we have this kind of spherical structure of the particles, and this guarantees actually the good flowability of the powder as well as absorbates formed from them. Possible applications would be the processing of liquid active pharmaceutical ingredients into solid dosage forms, or if you want to isolate a sufficiently pure but hard to crystallize API in a powder form, then of course you could also use this product and will get a dry powder which is easy to handle. AeroPearl can also be used as a carrier for liquid-solid technique or for a technique called self-emulsifying drug delivery systems, which are discussed to increase the solubility of poorly soluble APIs. Here's a case study for you. As a model API, we have used a very simple one, dimethicone oil, something which is readily available and we can work with because we are only a chemical laboratory and not really a pharmaceutical laboratory. So we have taken 40 grams of our product, AEROPERL 300 Pharma, and mixed this in a Somacon mixer with different amounts of this dimethicone 100 oil. So we absorbed on this 40 grams from 10 grams to 60 grams of the dimethicone oils. Did this in several batches which were homogenized, and then we measured the angle of repose and also did some flow funnel testing to see how the flowability of this powder is. For those of you who are not familiar with flow funnel testing, it's simple flow funnels which have different orifices ranging, as you can see here, for funnel 1 of an orifice of only 2.5 millimeters in diameter. Everything that flows through funnel 1 is very, very, very good flowing. To a funnel 6, which actually has an orifice of 24 millimeters. And such a material we would not consider nicely flowing anymore. On the two graphs on the right here, you can see with all the ratios we have tested that the angle of repose for all of these absorbates was very, very good, well below the 35 degrees. So you have to consider from this test that the material is nicely flowing. As a proof of that concept, if you can see the graph down there on the right, you see that also the absorbates, they float through funnel 1 or through funnel 3. So we still have to consider this product according to the testing a very nicely flowing product. Actually, what you may be interested in is not so much flowability. What you want to know, can you use this kind of absorbates to produce tablets from them? We have addressed also this issue. In this case, we have loaded the AeroPearl 300 Pharma in a 1-to-1 ratio, so using 100 grams of the AeroPearl 300 Pharma and mixed it with 100 grams of Silbione DM1000 from Lucar Silicones, a silicone oil which is used for pharmaceutical productions. The tableting powder composition was varied, and you can see the formulations down there. You can see that we have taken a formulation which has only 10% of this absorbate to a formulation which actually contains 50% of the absorbate. For powder mixing, we have passed all the components through this 710 micrometer sieve, mixed it in a tumbling mixer, turboblower T2F, for 10 minutes at 67 RPM, and then we pressed 650 milligrams tablets with our Korsch EK0 single French press, we tried by pressing this to reach a crushing strength of at least 110 Newton, simply by modifying the punching pressure. What you see in the table there, that we actually got quite nice tablets. Tablet mass variation is very low. Crushing strength was actually taken as a parameter that we put in there, but also radial tensile strength and friability are on a very good level, so that you can actually say that you can use Aeropearl 300 Pharma loaded with the silicone oil to get tablets from them. Let me come to the second point of my talk here about the use of Aeropearl 300 Pharma, how you can use this product as a desiccant to enable moisture-activated dry granulation processes. What is the story about this? Well, if you look at traditional wet granulation, as you see here on the right side with the gray symbols, wet granulation is a rather complicated and tedious process. In wet granulation, you first have to do some kind of dry powder mixing. Then you add water, actually quite a lot of water. It can be up to 50% of water that you put in there, and then you end up with some kind of granulate. This granulate you have to mill, then you have to dry it because you have used so much water. Then you have to mill it again, then you have to sieve it, and then you have to blend the lubricant in. You see, it's a multi-stage process which requires transfer of material from one apparatus to the other. And all these product transfers actually cost you some of your very valuable API. This is completely different if you look at moisture-activated or assisted dry granulation. It's an alternative granulation process which uses only very little water. You can use between 2 to 4% of water, and you get a nice granulate only by using one apparatus. So in moisture-activated dry granulation, you take the API and the binder. The binder is a special one which needs to become tacky with only very limited amount of water. Then you granulate it, then you add the desiccant, so the Aeropearl 300 Pharma, the MCC, mix it again, and then you add the lubricant and the disintegrant, and again mixing. So it's a very innovative process. You use only one apparatus and will end up with a granulate which is actually in the size range that you need for direct tableting then. So in terms of cost savings, if you look at building a new line for granulation, it reduces your investment, and because you don't need to take off the water that you have put in, it also lowers your energy costs. And because you don't have any product transfers in between, you can reduce also the API loss. This is only theory, but I want to show you in the next few slides that it actually works. Again, we have used a rather simple formulation where the lactose monohydrate actually acts as a filler as well as the API. And you see we have used 62.5% of this material. Then we have the binder there, the polyvinyl polyolidone. We have very little water, 2.5%. Microcrystalline cellulose that you need for the compression. Then we have our Aeropearl 300 Pharma, only 1.5%. Sorry, it's only a very limited amount that you need. Then the disintegrant, cross-providone, and magnesium stearate. Mixing conditions over here. First you take the lactose monohydrate and the binder, mix them. Then you spray atomized water into the mixture, and this is very critical. You really need to atomize water because you need to use that little water. You have to make sure that all the water actually reaches all of your granulate, all of your powder. This is one of the critical steps in here. Then you simply add component 4, so the microcrystalline cellulose and the Aeropearl. Add again crossprovidone and magnesium stearate and mix. And what you will get is a granulate which again has very good flow characteristics. We measured for this granulate an angle of repose of only 31 degrees, and our flow funnel score is 2, so a very nicely flowing material. And we get a narrow granule size distribution, as you can see over there in the Excel chart, where you have only very limited fines and only a very limited amount of coarse material. We used this kind of granulate again with our coarse tablet press and punched from that tablets of a diameter of 12 millimeters with a weight again of 650 milligrams. And you can see down there in the table again tablets with very good properties result. And in the picture which you may be able to see, which is down there, you actually see these tablets and they look very nicely. We have never seen that nice tablets before from our machine. Let me come now to the last point of my talk here. This is how you can use Aeropearl 300 Pharma as a tackle for the low solubility challenge of some of the APIs that you may use. The story about this you probably know better than me. The new APIs tend to be more hydrophobic, so it can be a challenge to actually get them into a solution, into an aqueous solution. So a lot of these new APIs belong to the BCS class 2 or 4. And we believe that Aeropearl 300 Pharma can help with the bioavailability of these APIs because if you absorb them on the carrier, you will increase the surface area, so the surface which actually is available for solubilization of the APIs. You can also use the material to stabilize the API in a better soluble form, for example in the non-crystalline form. Or, as I told you before, you can use Aeropearl 300 Pharma also in terms of the liquid-solid approach, where you absorb the API in a dissolved state on the carrier. Again, I don't want only to tell theory, but want to boil it down to practice. In this case, as we wanted to work with a real API, we couldn't conduct the study ourselves, but we have used the Professor Dressman's group of the University of Frankfurt to do this for you. And Professor Dressman actually selected itraconazole as the model compound. She selected 0.1 normal HCl as a dissolution medium to represent the pH conditions in the stomach. And the analytics were done by some kind of HPLC that you may know better than I. It's a Hitachi instrument. I give this only for to have this complete here, but I don't want to discuss it with you. Formulation 1, which is very important here, is itraconazole as it was received. So this is more or less the baseline of the study. Formulation 2 is itraconazole, which was dispersed in a melt of an excipient surfactant. And the surfactants I only know by TPGS. It's an acronym, and written down there is what it really is. It's D-alpha tocopherol polyethylene glycol 1000 succinate. You may know that. I know it only by TPGS. Professor Dressman always told us it's a well-known excipient, so I hope this is true. And I see some nodding, so I hope all of you agree with that. Formulation 3 is the one which is actually coming down to the Aeropearl 300 Pharma. In this formulation, itraconazole and TPGS were dissolved in HCl acidified alcohol. The solution was then absorbed in Aeropearl 300 Pharma, and the solvent was then removed by drying at 50 degrees centigrade. And now let's look at the dissolution study. Here in this Excel chart, you see the gray line is the pure drug. And as you can see, itraconazole indeed is not a compound which is easily soluble in HCl. It's rather limited, has rather limited solubility. And what you also see is that adding TPGS helps a little bit of the solubility. It increases the solubility of the product by a factor of 2, coming to about a dissolution rate of 10%. The real change now comes if you look at the formulation 3, where TPGS and the itraconazole was absorbed on the Aeropearl 300 Pharma. And here you can see that already after 5 minutes you get a dissolution rate in excess of 50%. And it even comes better and goes up to 65% after 2 hours. For those of you who know our product portfolio, they will of course ask me, you would always talk about Aeropearl and how good it is for some of these features. Why don't you simply use AEROSIL 200 Pharma for the same purpose? Yes, and we have done this. We have repeated that study and have used also the AEROSIL 200 Pharma. This is the formulation 4. And you see AEROSIL 200 Pharma, if you use this material, also will increase the dissolution. But if you look at the small times, you really have the advantage for the Aeropearl 300 Pharma. AEROSIL 300 Pharma really brings about a rather quick release dissolution of the itraconazole. So this is almost it that I wanted to tell you. There's a little bit of time left, so if you have questions, please, I'm here. Don't be shy and ask your questions that you want to have clarified.
I just want to know what is the cost difference if you use AEROSIL Pharma and this product.
As I told you, Aeropearl 300 Pharma is actually a granulated form, so we have additional processing steps to produce this material, and therefore, of course, if you have additional processing steps, this material is more expensive than AEROSIL 200 Pharma or AEROSIL 300 Pharma. But if you really want to have real numbers, please contact your Evonik agent, your Evonik salesperson in your region, and he can tell you what the price of the two products will be. I'm a technical person, and prices actually don't really mean that much to me. Any more questions? Well, if you don't have any further questions, I'm here and available on the show already still today. I will leave tonight. But please come by in Hall 4. We are at booth A32. And then you will be able either to contact me or my colleague, Andrea Kim. And we will be happy to answer your question in a more private atmosphere. You can also go to our internet webpage, www.aerosil.com, and there go to industries and choose pharmaceuticals. And then you can download our brochures, or you can even watch a video which shows the MADG process in more detail. And I thank you for your attendance of this talk, and I hope you have a nice visit here at CPHI and you have a chance to enjoy the sun in Spain. Thank you.